Glad you're back with us here on Bills by the Numbers, where we let the stats tell you where the Bills are at. We're presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Up next, just how historic a season could James Cook have with 10 regular season games to play? Should the Bills' offense be as balanced as they are, or is it time to prop up their pass game? And should James Cook be a part of that passing game to use him in an expanded fashion? Steve is quizzed on Bills running back history, and we'll have our one burning question. Somebody take the dang handoff already. Thanks for joining us here on Bills by the Numbers. He's Wall of Famer Steve Tasker. I'm Bills play-by-play man Chris Brown. And we kick it off with the remarkable first half of the season James Cook has had. Through 7 games, Buffalo's feature back ranks second in the NFL in rushing with 753 yards. His average of 6 yards per carry leads the league. He's third in first downs created, fourth in total yards from scrimmage, and tied for fifth in scoring. At his current pace, Cook would finish with 1,828 yards rushing, which would be the second best rushing season in Bills history, behind Hall of Famer O.J. Simpson's 2003 rushing season in 1973. It would also be the 20th best rushing season in NFL history. Steve, do you believe he hits that number, exceeds it, or falls short?
First of all, let me preface everything by saying Chris Brown has been on the James Cook train since it was sitting in a station in Georgia.
Woo, woo!
Before he was even drafted. So let me just give kudos to Brownie, and he is a James Cook advocate all the time. Anyway, having said that, I think he's going to fall a little bit short.
Oh,
Because he's been so spectacular. It's hard to keep that going.
Sustain it,
Yeah, somebody's going to come up with a game that's going to put him off track and put him behind the sticks on that 1,828 number. But he's still, maybe 1,400 yards, 50. That's a big season, and it would validate the contract and all the conversation that we had about him in the off season. I don't think he can make it that far because of what it's going to take to win games going down the stretch. And even those, though, having said that, it'll be one of the great seasons in Bills history. It could be.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to end up somewhere around 15 to 16.
Yeah,
somewhere in there. Because when we get to December, when the weather turns and he's good in the snow, I think 15 to 1,600 is within reach. 1,800 would be extraordinary.
Right. Yes, it would.
1,700
is big.
Even me, the biggest believer in James Cook, would be impressed by that.
That's a big number. But as we've seen, he's playing in the right system to have some opportunity because of the quarterback he's got, and teams are, they know Josh is the MVP. And if the Bills want to try and beat him with a run game instead of the throwing game with that guy, maybe they give him the opportunity to do it. We'll see.
Right now, Cook has a rushing success rate of 66.7%, far and away the best in the league. So much so that it's 6% better than his next closest pursuer, the Rams' Kyron Williams, and 10% better than Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, who is killing it, by the way, as well. In Week 8, Cook had the most rushing yards in a game this season and did not even play in the fourth quarter. It's the most rushing yards in a game in the last 35 seasons by a player who did not have a carry in the final stanza. It's rare stuff. Has it been successful enough to justify being the only team in the league, however, that runs the ball more than 50% of the time on offense, Steve?
Well, yeah. They won the game.
But we're talking over the whole season here. Do you want to be a 50-50 run-pass team when you have the MVP at quarterback?
Well, I think you know what you have in your quarterback. And I think they've got more confidence, particularly when they're healthy, in their weapons outside than most fans do because they haven't seen it. And because of that, I think they don't want to put the burden on Josh Allen every single game whenever they can if they don't have to. And there have been games when they have not had to. And there are also, I think, even in the losses they suffered this year, particularly in the Patriots loss, the turnovers really hurt them. Josh turning the ball over and Keon dropping the ball in their own end, deep in the Bills' own end offensively, that put them in the 8 ball. That's a game they should have, could have, would have won had it not been for the offense stumbling like it did. So I think they're okay with where they're at offensively, whether it's 50% run or 55% run, 45% pass, or 50% pass, or even more, whatever. Because I think they believe when they go to Josh and turn that faucet on, it's going to pour out.
Okay. After last week's game, which skewed the numbers a little bit because they ran the ball for so many yards and so successfully, it's now 52% run, 48% pass for the Bills. They're the only team that's at the 50% mark or over. And look, it's gotten them to a 5-2 record. But I think there are some out there who say, are you almost costing this offense more production by choosing to run it more than you throw it, even with the advent of more teams running the ball more often than we saw 5 seasons ago when people were throwing it all over the yard? Some teams were like 65-35. I just wonder if the offense might be even more productive than it already is, and it's hard to argue with almost 30 points a game. I wonder if it would be even more productive if they go just 55 pass, 45 run. And maybe it gets there by the end of the season. Who knows?
I think it sounds counterintuitive.
But I wonder if it's blasphemy, Steve, to not utilize Josh Allen's talents more than they are in the passing game. Or maybe is there a belief that the heavy run approach is by design to help a defense while still shorthanded due to injury? What about that premise?
Maybe. Yeah, that's all possible. I think, and this may sound counterintuitive, that they may feel like doing it the way they're doing it gives them the best chance to win games rather than chase stats.
Right.
I mean, they're in the business of winning, and each of these games falls differently. So when you take the cumulative numbers about the season, sometimes it's not as accurate as what a team is capable of as it was about the matchups and what won games and how the game got out of hand. Particularly this Carolina game, right? And the Jet game earlier in the season. It skews the statistics because of where they're at on the scoreboard. I think this is a team that has a recipe for win in every game, and certainly it may alter a little bit game to game. But the big picture doesn't always paint the accurate picture, doesn't give you the nuts and bolts of how they're going to win. So I think the way they won in Carolina certainly is not how they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I think taking the big picture, while it has some value, I don't think they care game to game or in the big picture of what it looks like game to game. And I think it's counterintuitive, but I think they may be more interested in, and I know it sounds, in playing the run-pass ratio in the small sense rather than the big sense. We're going to run at this game because it's going to help us win. I think they're in the business of winning games more so than looking at the statistics and thinking it looks good. And I think the way the schedule has fallen with the Jets, with the Carolina Panthers, and the others the Saints game, it skews the big picture numbers. So whether they're 55% run and 30% pass has something to do with that. Now, in the New England game, it got down to turnovers and penalties. Falcons game, that was the one game where it was a little bit of an aberration, I believe, offensively, when they struggled to protect, struggled to move the ball, and I think that game got away from them. But the other 6, including the Patriots game, I think they're right on schedule with where they want to be.
All right, so let's expand this conversation with respect to the passing game. Should James Cook be utilized as a mismatch in the passing game to help expand its usage and production to get his breakaway ability out in space more often?
Yes, I am all about that. I think leave him on the field as much as you can. That doesn't mean you can't. And I don't think you should be preoccupied with getting him more opportunities, But certainly, nobody's going to complain about more opportunities for him, particularly in the passing game. It's the one thing that they haven't had to. Now, they didn't have to do that last week. I get it. And the same thing in the Jet game, same thing in the Saints game. Some of this stuff, the Bills can leave whole sections of their playbook closed and never go to them. So I get that. But they're in some of these games, particularly the Atlanta game, and perhaps maybe the Patriot game, or particularly the Patriot game, there were some instances where they needed to unfurl some stuff and we didn't see it, or at least we didn't feel like we saw it. So, yeah, I believe James Cook, when he's having the kind of season, he's showing the kind of abilities and the things that he's doing right now, I think more opportunities are better, not worse. And if you throw it to him, that's fine.
And I would wholeheartedly agree. The more touches for James Cook, the better for this offense.
Right.
And I think with a passing game that has looked a little disjointed in recent weeks, he could help in that area with, whether it's intermediate throws, short throws in space, yards after catch, whatever you want from the passing game, I think he could help in that vein. Because to me, he is a mismatch on any linebacker and any safety in the league. Any of them.
Right.
So why not get him in a one-on-one matchup? Not to mention the fact that with as strong as this run game is, you could line him up in the backfield, and they're going to put with 3 tight ends if you want, 2, whatever. The other team's putting 3 linebackers on the field. Then you motion him out late pre-snap, and now you've got him on a linebacker or at worst a safety.
Right.
Advantage Buffalo every
Right.
single time.
Right.
So to me, that makes sense. Now here, would you be surprised to know that James Cook has not had a passing target
That's right.
since week 5?
Yeah, I knew that
Against the Patriots.
That was something I thought I was
Week
a little
5.
surprised. I was a little surprised by that. No question about it. They just, and
It's not a question of are they using him enough. They're not using him at all
I was
in that
surprised
area
by
of the
that.
game.
It's completely gone away. And there's been a couple of games where, he's obviously no targets, no catches.
And not on the field sometimes in 2-minute drill.
So I think they need to fix that.
Bijan Robinson, they're not afraid about using him too much in Atlanta.
And they got a lot of faith in Ty Johnson. I get that, but also, there are some guys in like Keon. If sit him down, put James on the field, and use some different formations. Get some guys who have been productive in the passing game.
It just makes too much sense to use him in the passing game.
And it's the old adage of investments. When you keep giving more investment capital to one thing and it keeps getting bigger and bigger returns, you keep putting more money into it.
Yeah.
And give those guys more opportunities, like James Cook.
All right, good discussion there. We now quiz Steve on Bills running back history in the numbers game. Let's do it, Steve.
All right.
Here we go. Question number 1. Only 2 players are on the list for the top 7 single-season most total yards from scrimmage in Bills history. They are Hall of Famers O.J. Simpson and Thurman Thomas. Which one of those 2 names appears more often in those top 7 single-season total yards from scrimmage?
Thurman.
And you would be correct. 4 times.
He led the
OJ's
league 4
3.
times. Yeah, he led the league 4 times. He's the only guy to ever do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Very.
Question number 2. Thurman Thomas holds 3 of the top 5 spots for most total touches in a regular season in Bills history. This other Bills running back holds the other 2 spots, and his name is not O.J. Simpson. Who is it?
Freddie Jackson.
It is not Fred Jackson. That's a good guess, though.
Wow, okay. Is it... Wow. You got me with that one.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'll say Willis.
It is not Willis McGahee.
Oh, Travis Henry.
Travis Henry.
Travis Henry. Yeah.
Travis Henry had 368 total touches in 2002 and 359 in
That's a load,
2003.
That is a
Let's
load.
go, T. Hen. Question number 3. After O.J. Simpson's 23 total touchdowns from scrimmage in a season, what Bills back ranks second in total touchdowns? 23
In a
for
season?
O.J. Yeah.
Thurm.
It's not Thurman.
Freddie.
Not Freddie.
CJ.
Not CJ. It's the guy we've been talking about this whole episode. James Cook. 18 total touchdowns last season.
Wow.
That is second most.
That's awesome.
Question 4. What Bill holds the record for longest rushing touchdown in team history?
What Bill holds the record for?
Longest rushing touchdown.
Got to be Juice.
It is not O.J. Simpson. Someone has topped him.
CJ.
That's a good guess, but incorrect.
James Cook.
It is not James Cook. This is a guy you would not guess to have one this long, but he did.
Freddie.
It is Fred Jackson. 80 yards, October 16th, 2011, against the New York Giants. I actually watched it back this week. Serpentine.
He
Yeah, it's a serpentine.
Yeah, Freddie
Get away.
Freddie's not outrunning too many people, but he is.
He used to be hyper aware of who was trailing him, and he would cut right when the guy was going to jump at him.
Freddie he's one of those guys that if you're fast enough to catch him, you might not be big enough or strong enough to get him down because he had a forearm that was like a taser gun. And then if you were big enough and strong enough to tackle him, you might not be fast enough to catch him.
Yeah.
He's just right in that zone.
right in between there.
And he was physical and aware, like you say, aware enough. If you were fast enough to catch him, you might have had to pick your spot.
That's what it was.
You know?
It was.
Yeah.
It looked like a game of Pac-Man. He's running to the end zone, and there's three guys after him. And right at the last second, he sees this guy over his left shoulder, and he cuts back to the left, and the guy, he misses him, and he gets into the end zone. It was a great run.
Bless his heart.
80 yards, the team record. Bills fans, get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the app today to play any way you want. Plus, with live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. Best of all, you get paid your winnings fast. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the Buffalo Bills. We now ask our one burning question. Khalil Shakir currently ranks second in the NFL in yards after catch among receivers with 294. He is second only to Cincinnati's Jamar Chase, who has 356 yards after the catch. Will Shakir lead all receivers in yards after the catch at season's end?
I don't think so. He's trailing by too much by Jamar.
Yeah, he's about 60 yards behind. A little more than 60 yards behind.
He's going to get some. That's what he does. He's very good at that. He's elite at yards after catch. He's elite. I'm going to have to say no, just because of the opportunities and other guys in the league and how hard it is to do. I think he's going to have a ton, and I think they're going to continue to use him like that because he's really good at it. But he's also had a bunch of long ones already. Teams are going to, no, I'm going to say no. I don't think he can.
He's got a 45-yarder and a 54-yarder, both for touchdowns already through the first 7 games.
Right. He's going to have some more.
He's going to have some more. I think he finishes in the top 5.
Yes,
maybe even the top 3.
Yeah. But that's
I don't know
hard.
if he finishes it would be a heck of an accomplishment.
Games to go, and he's got to stay healthy, and who knows.
He's second in the league. He's played one less game than a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And he's second in the league among receivers. The running backs usually lead that category. But among receivers, he's number 2 right now. I think he could finish in the top 5 among receivers. Our closing figure, got to give credit to Steve on this. He pointed this one out in the stat sheet this week. Our closing figure deals with the Bills-Chiefs matchup in Week 10. This is the 10th meeting Week 9. This is the 10th meeting between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes overall. In those 10 meetings, Mahomes has the better record of 5-4. But the point totals in the previous 9 matchups, if you add them all together, are separated by a single point. Kansas City with 243 points scored to Buffalo's 242. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
You can't take your eyes off this game.
It's going to be a good one. That'll do it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use or watch us on the Bills YouTube channel, because when you need to know about the Bills, you need to check Bills by the numbers. For Steve Tasker, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time, everybody.